Welcome to What a Creep, the show with Margot Donahue and Sonia Mansfield talking about creeps from the past to the present.
This is your quick guide to the biggest creeps, jerks, assholes, and losers, the best of the worst.
From two nice ladies who want the world to be a little less creepy. Welcome back to What a Creep. This is Margot Donahue, and my cohort in creepitude, as always, is the amazing Sonia Mansfield. Hey, Sonia.
Hello, my friend.
Hello, my friend. Thank you all for being understanding about last week. We needed to take some time off because it was just extra shitty out there, and we just needed that little mental break. So please, thank you for being understanding. Yeah. We have a really great creep today, and if this is your first time listening, we do use salty language, so just be prepared. Don't send me any texts or emails complaining about it. That's never going to change.
Yeah.
We're the podcast that talks about creeps from the past to the present, and what we do is we present you one creep, and then the other person is challenged to come up with a non-creep to make up for the creepiness. And so you don't end the show feeling like the world is a big garbage pile fire. It is on fire. It is a pile of
Totally.
garbage.
It does feel like that right now.
But we're going to try to distract you as best that we can. We are on Facebook. We do have a basic Facebook page. We don't really check that very much. We have a private Facebook group, but you do have to answer 3 questions to get into the group, and then you actually have to be nice in the group and not be annoying.
Yes. Please don't be annoying. Please don't be shitty to people and act creepy.
Right.
Please don't show up on our page and talk about that is one of our rules.
Already. Okay, so we're on Twitter at CreepPod because somebody had What a Creep for 10 years and never used it.
Creep.
We're on Instagram, that What a Creep podcast. We do have a website. Sonia, you want to tell them about the website?
Yes, you can go to whatacreeppodcast.com, and it's everything you ever wanted to know about our show, but we're afraid to ask. It's got links to all of our episodes except for the first 4 seasons, which are behind the Patreon wall. More on that in a minute. And there's a link to our merch shop where you could get tote bags. Somebody posted a picture of one of their tote bags.
There's Damn It Max tote bag.
It's our listener, Jennifer, has her Damn It Max tote bag for her dog Max that she keeps all this stuff. It's so cute. Anyway, we have face masks and journals and all the things that you could possibly want that you could put different What a Creep inspired designs on. And there's also links to all of our episodes and their sources because we source all of our episodes. So, you know, when you read those 1-star reviews that say they don't source their stuff, we totally do. Do you want to tell them about the Patreon page?
I do indeed. I want to thank Tara, Tammy, Jennifer, Tammy. I maybe should have read this but a couple of times. And William, I'm saying sorry right now. Thank you all for joining us at the Patreon page. We have our first 4 seasons up on the Patreon wall there. We have a couple of very affordable options for you. Mm-hmm. So thank you all for doing that. We also put out 2 bonus episodes a month. Sometimes we just squeak it in the last day, but we get them out there.
Yeah, and those are really fun. They're a little bit looser. Sometimes we have a cocktail or 2.
Yeah.
And we just talk shit about the news.
And we also have a newsletter that's coming out.
Yes, this weekend.
And what else? Oh, we have an email, a basic old-timey email. whatacreeppodcast@gmail.com. If you would like some stickers, I'd be happy to send them to you wherever you are on the planet of Earth. Mm-hmm. Or if you're on one of those space stations, if there's some way to get it out to you, I will send it. If I can put a stamp on it, and I'll try. What else do I want to say, Sonia? I mean, I'm kind of stalling because this is like one of those creeps. When you and I were conceiving of the show, we were coming up with lists, and we were like drinking wine and talking about it, going back and forth. This guy was on our list from like day fucking 1.
Yes.
Because everybody hates him.
Everyone.
Which is kind of... He's a uniter, not a divider in a weird way.
Only in that way. Only in that way. So, y'all, we're finally, it only took to season 15 to talk about Ted Cruz. Trigger warnings, gun violence, racism, sexism, and the world's most punchable face. we are going to channel all of our rage into Ted Cruz right now. And I've made no secret, I fucking hate Ted Cruz. I hate him. I have a tea towel in my kitchen right now, and it says, fuck Ted Cruz. That's all it says. I hate his guts. A couple of weeks ago, I started making a list, and it was like, here's a list of things I trust more than Ted Cruz. I was making this to share in the Facebook group, and I might still put it there. But it's like an email with a link from a Nigerian prince asking for money, a dating profile with no photos, medical advice from Goop, or a man with a misspelled tattoo. These are all things that I trust more than Ted Cruz. He is awful. He is a United States senator from Texas, in case you don't know. He is anti-abortion, but pro-death penalty, like they do, against Obamacare, also known as the Affordable Care Act. He opposes same-sex marriage and civil unions, which he has described as tyranny.
Oh, okay.
Right. He's against the legalization of marijuana because he's a buzzkill. He's against immigration reform because why would we want to do that? He loves guns. He's a total gun humper. He loves his gun rights. He voted against the Paycheck Fairness Act. Because we don't want to pay people equally. And he also voted no on the reauthorizing of the Violence Against Women Act.
Piece of shit.
Last year, he voted against COVID relief for businesses, schools, and citizens. He voted against impeaching disgraced former President Trump twice. And he's even voted against raising the minimum wage. He sucks. This is the reason he shot to the top of the list is this. So most recently, as everybody probably knows, there was a mass shooting in Texas in an elementary school. It's really, really sad. An 18-year-old bought an AR-15 that day and went to an elementary school, and he murdered 19 children and 2 teachers. The armed police officers, armed security guard, waited outside the class. They didn't do anything while the gunman murdered people. Then Ted Cruz went on TV to claim that the school had too many doors.
Fucking asshole.
And then blamed mass shootings on the fact that people don't go to church, on video games, prescription drugs, cyberbullying, social isolation, and other shit that aren't guns, basically. Then 2 days after the murder, again, of 21 people in his state, he went and spoke at the NRA Convention. Because he's a monster. And he claimed that only good guys with a gun can stop a bad guy with a gun, which is the exact opposite of what happened in his state. He is a disgusting fucking creep.
We should say also they weren't allowed to bring guns to the NRA convention.
Correct. Right? Because somebody could get hurt.
Right.
We could do a whole episode just about the NRA. So sources for this episode, The Atlantic, Balletpedia, that's where I got a list of things he voted for and against, Business Insider, The Daily Beast, The Dallas Observer, Mother Jones, The New York Times, The New Yorker, Rolling Stone, his very own Twitter, and Wikipedia. Sources are all linked on our website. So let's start at the beginning. Raphael Edward Ted, quote-unquote, Cruz, was born December 22nd, 1970. Dude is only 51.
He looks evil. Evil is aging him.
Evil will age you, y'all. I can't believe he's 51. He was born in Calgary, Alberta, Canada, to Eleanor Elizabeth Wilson. She was an American citizen living in Canada. This is something that is often brought up about whether or not Ted Cruz is actually a citizen. His mother was a citizen living in Canada at the time. His father was Raphael Cruz, who was born and raised in Cuba, but he left Cuba in 1957. He went to the University of Texas and then got political asylum and earned Canadian citizenship in 1973 and became a U.S. citizen in 2005. Once again, I only say all that because people are like, how can he even run for president? Blah, blah, blah. That's why.
Wow.
Yeah. The family relocated to Houston in 1975. So he would have been 4 or 5 years old. He attended a private high school. He graduated valedictorian. He studied public policy at Princeton University. He graduated in 92, and he won a lot of top awards in debate. Apparently, he's very good at debating. But everyone at Princeton hated his guts. So screenwriter Craig Mazin, who wrote Rocket Man, was Ted Cruz's roommate at Princeton. And he has called Ted Cruz a nightmare of a human being. Recalled that when he was a freshman sharing a dorm room with Cruz, that Craig was invited to parties hosted by seniors because they felt sorry for him because he shared a room with Ted Cruz. Craig said, this is a quote, "I have plenty of problems with his politics, but truthfully, his personality is so awful that 99% of why I hate him is just his personality. He's an awful, awful, awful person." Several other classmates have said that Ted Cruz was abrasive. These are all quotes. Abrasive, intense, a crank, arrogant, and my favorite, creepy. He's creepy, y'all. Apparently, he made female students in the dorm very uncomfortable because he would walk around the dorm in his paisley bathrobe, like on their side of the floor. He had no reason to be over there. And he'd be walking around in his fucking robe. You know he's probably smoking a pipe. He thinks he's fucking Hugh Hefner or something. He's such a creep. He's such a creep. When he announced that he was going to run for president of the school's debate society, the other members had a secret meeting to pick an anyone but Cruz candidate. And the eventual winner acknowledged that his only qualification for office was that I was not Ted Cruz. Here's one of the many reasons people at Princeton hated him. So he's on the debate team, and in one debate, he proposed a way to prevent women from cheating on their boyfriends or husbands would be if God would have them regrow their hymens so that every time after she has intercourse, she would grow back her hymen.
What?
I don't understand it.
No.
And he said that this would be a visible sign of the breach of trust if the hymen was broken. I guess you would only grow it back when you slept with different people.
Yeah, that's what he's saying.
Yeah. But, vaginas are just men's possessions,
right?
For them to keep tabs on. He's a fucking creep. No wonder nobody wanted to date him. Ugh. So after graduating from Princeton, he attended Harvard Law School, graduated in 1995.
But he hates elites.
What?
He hates elites, right? The elites?
Yes, he hates
Princeton and Harvard.
I know. Like a real ruffian. So at Harvard Law, he was the primary editor of the Law Review, executive editor of the Harvard Journal of Law and Public Policy, the founding editor of the Harvard Latino Law Review, and past What a Creep alum, Harvard law professor Alan Dershowitz says Cruz is off the charts brilliant.
Ay.
Well, with an endorsement like that, fucking Alan Dershowitz. So after college, Ted Cruz clerked for Chief Justice William Rehnquist of the U.S. Supreme Court. That was from 96-97. After that, he went into private practice, where he loved to work on cases for the NRA.
Sure he did.
Cool. Yeah, of course he did. And then in 1999, he joined George W. Bush's campaign for president as a domestic policy advisor. A prominent aide on that campaign told Mother Jones that Ted Cruz would send memos on everything to everyone. He would come to meetings where he wasn't invited and wasn't wanted.
Oh, God.
The quickest way for a meeting to end would be for Ted to come in. People would want out of that meeting. People wouldn't go to a meeting if they knew Ted was going to be there. He was a big asshole, is what they literally said. He's a big asshole. Apparently somebody on the campaign didn't think he was an asshole because while working on that campaign is when he met his wife, Heidi. They went on their first date in January 2001, and they were married that May.
Wow.
That's fast.
She must have a great hymen. Sorry.
So Heidi works now as the managing director in charge of private wealth at Goldman Sachs. I don't even know what that fucking means. That was just
she's
a fucking
rich.
She's rich. She and Ted have 2 daughters, Caroline and Catherine. They're 13 and 10. Caroline, the oldest, has taken to TikTok in recent months. She says she doesn't agree with her dad's policies on anything. And she even told a story about how they took a holiday card photo, Christmas card photo, and she was wearing a crop top and it was photoshopped to be longer.
Wow.
So that's all I'm going to say about
Yeah. That's not,
Yeah. So during the 2000, for people who don't know, the 2000 election was really contentious. There was a big recount between George W. Bush and Al Gore, and it happened all in Florida because Florida is
insane.
So Ted Cruz was really involved in assembling Bush's legal team. He worked on strategy for that. He filed briefs to the Supreme Court. But George W. didn't like him and was quoted as saying, "I just don't like the guy."
Wow.
Yeah. When George Bush became president, his campaign aides and George Bush did not want Ted Cruz working in the White House. Nobody wanted to work with him. So after Bush took office, Cruz went to work for the Associate Deputy Attorney General in the Department of Justice as a Director of Policy Planning and as a Director of Policy Planning at the Federal Trade Commission. Meanwhile, Heidi was working at the U.S. Treasury. Like, she got a job, too.
Jesus.
But once again, those jobs aren't in the White House. They were like, where can we put him?
Right.
Where we don't have to work with him.
Keep him busy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So he did that for a little while. And then eventually, Texas Attorney General Greg Abbott, who is now the governor and a total fucking prick, appointed Cruz to Solicitor General of Texas. And what that meant was he was arguing a lot of cases before the United States Supreme Court in representing Texas. And he did it 9 times, and he won 5 of those cases. He lost 4. So some of the wins included striking down a Washington, D.C. handgun ban. Yes.
Wow.
He's fucking creep. Defended the constitutionality of having the 10 Commandments monument at the Texas State Capitol grounds. Mm-hmm. He defended states' rights to execute mentally ill prisoners.
Awesome.
Yes. And then I believe he lost this one. He defended the ban on the selling of sex toys. Because anything that gives people pleasure, Ted Cruz is thumbs down.
No weed. No sex dolls.
So after this, he went back to private practice. And then when he was there, he defended drug companies like Pfizer in lawsuits where public hospitals and community health centers were being overcharged by Pfizer, and Ted Cruz represented Pfizer.
Sure.
Yeah. So I think this is a good place to take a break.
Okay.
And then when we come back, we'll talk about his run for Senate. And we're back. So in 2012, Ted Cruz ran for Senate. He ran as a Tea Party candidate. And if y'all don't know what the Tea Party is, it was a whole movement that started after Obama was elected president. Mm-hmm. The Tea Party itself claimed to be the more fiscally conservative wing of the GOP, but with just more obvious racism. Yay. So he won. And before he was even sworn in, dude wasn't even sworn in yet. Cruz led a last-minute push to vote down a UN treaty on the rights of persons with disabilities. It was supposed to help people with disabilities all over the world. And it was supported by hundreds of disability organizations and former senator, former presidential candidate Bob Dole.
Wow. Holy shit.
Yeah. John McCain would later tell the New Yorker, "It was the most embarrassing day of my time in the Senate to force Bob Dole to watch that." Ted Cruz is such a fucking prick. Such a prick. Okay, so shortly after he wins his seat, we're going to talk about the time that he filibustered Obamacare for 21 hours.
Right.
So we're talking a few months into his first term. He forced a government shutdown. He did a 21-hour Senate speech in which he read from Green Eggs and Ham. By the way, he read it, but I don't think he understood it, because the whole idea of the book is that you try something you might not like and then you realize you like it. But he read it as like, just, no, I don't like it. No, I don't like it. I don't like it. Apparently, dude didn't read the end before he decided to read it. I don't know.
Jesus
but he also,
Christ, I forgot that. Oh my God.
He's such a fucking creep. He also read really long excerpts from novels of Ayn Rand.
Of course.
Because of course he did.
Of course he's a fan of Ayn Rand.
Duh. So the shutdown that it led to, like, there was a national, it nearly led, to a national default. It terrified the business community. It led to the lowest approval ratings for the GOP in decades. And it didn't result in smaller government or the end of Obamacare. It achieved absolutely nothing. It just made everyone hate him on a national stage.
Can you imagine being in a room with him for 21 hours? I
can't imagine being in a room with him for 21 seconds. Mm-mm. Like, he makes me physically ill. So 5 years after the shutdown, Cruz claimed in an interview with NBC that he consistently opposes shutdowns. Like, he just fucking lies. Dude just lies. He claims that during this infamous showdown that he was doing, that he repeatedly asked for them to open the government. That did not happen. He just lies. He's like Newt Gingrich. Newt Gingrich he takes his cues from Newt. Like, Newt just fucking lies and dials up the rhetoric. And that's what Ted Cruz does. There's the time he voted against federal aid for Hurricane Sandy, but then lobbied Congress 5 years later for billions of dollars for Texas to clean up from Hurricane Harvey.
Well, because Sandy happened in New York.
Yeah.
And everyone hates
exactly.
New York. Right.
Yeah. So, yeah, fuck New York.
Yeah.
He's such a piece of shit. So he decided to run for president. So during this failed campaign, this is 2016, Cruz called Trump a pathological liar, a cheater, conspiracy theorist.
This is Kettle.
Yeah, and a narcissist. Trump said Cruz's wife was ugly and that Cruz's father was involved in the assassination of JFK.
This is like, I can't believe these times. I mean,
it's so stupid.
It's so lame. These just fucking idiots getting a huge job. Yeah.
They're both, it's ridiculous. So Trump, this shit worked. Trump got the nomination and they vote for Trump. And Cruz went on to just kiss Trump's ass. Mm-hmm. Keep in mind, he called his wife ugly, said this fucked up shit about his dad, kissed his ass, even went phone banking for him. Like, just a sniveling coward. Mm-hmm. Just a coward. So, like I said, everyone hates Ted Cruz. People who work with him, Democrat or Republican, and people who vote for him. So Al Franken said once, here's the thing you have to understand about Ted Cruz. I probably like Ted Cruz more than most of my colleagues like Ted Cruz, and I hate Ted Cruz. He's a toxic coworker. He's the guy that would microwave fish. Lindsey Graham. Lindsey Graham is trash. He's on our list. He said picking between Trump and Cruz was like having to choose between being shot or poisoned. Said the party would be better off picking somebody out of a phone book. And he also said if you killed Ted Cruz on the floor of the Senate and the trial was in the Senate, nobody would convict you.
Holy shit.
Yeah. Former Speaker of the House John Boehner once called Cruz a jackass and a false prophet. He also referred to him as Lucifer in the flesh.
He's also an asshole, too.
Total asshole. When he called him Lucifer in the flesh, the spokesperson for the Satanic Temple released a statement saying, we don't want anything to do with Ted Cruz. Cruz was reelected to the Senate in 2018. Now, he barely beat out Beto O'Rourke.
Yeah.
Texas, you could have had a bad bitch, but you went with Ted Cruz. So, by the way, O'Rourke is currently running for governor against Greg Abbott. Mm-hmm. Everyone should go donate to Beto O'Rourke. It would help Texas a lot. So, last year, during the freezing cold temperatures,
oh boy,
Texas power grid went down. People in Texas were literally freezing to death. Ted Cruz urged his constituents to stay home, but through Twitter, by the way. He's doing this through Twitter, warned that the winter weather could be, it could be deadly. On Tuesday, before the power, he offered a shoulder shrug emoji, situation's not good, because I want my professional politicians to communicate with me via emoji.
Right.
And then on that Wednesday, Cruz and his family went to Cancun.
Oh my God.
They left, by the way, they left their dog behind.
It's hard to explain if you don't live in America and if you're not familiar with the climate in Texas. It rarely snows. Okay, it's close to Mexico.
Yeah.
It is rare for it to get cold. I mean, I used to have to go to Houston once a year, and that's way bound by the border. But I mean, it was 85 in December.
Yes.
It's very warm. It's very humid. It doesn't get to the point that it got to, and it's because of global warming and all these other things. But it was a shock to hear that happen to people. And so for him, that's his district. Those are his people. They elected him. And he was like, well, it's too cold for me. We're going to get the fuck out of here. It's just,
yes,
he had to be shamed into coming back.
Yes. It was only because somebody saw him at the airport and told on him.
Yeah.
That he even got caught. They were like, bye. So they left their dog behind. Their dog is a white dog, and his name is Snowflake because, get it? Liberals are such snowflakes. Poor dog. Dog deserves better than that. Justice for Snowflake, please.
I'll take Snowflake.
So, after leaving Texans to melt snow for water because they're dying, Cruz blamed his daughter's desire to go to Cancun as the reason for the trip. He threw his kids under the bus, basically. And it's
asshole.
I know, he's such an asshole. But what happened was, once again, because everyone hates him, including his supposed friends, somebody released their text messages, a group text. They released this to the New York Times. So Heidi Cruz had texted their friends and Houston neighbors that revealed that this trip was planned at the last minute. She texted that their house was quote unquote freezing, and that she was proposing a getaway and they could all go. All these rich people were just going to go to Cancun together. She told them the room price. It has good security. They never found out it was a group text, so they never found out who was the one who released it. But it's so funny. Even their friends were like, fuck off.
Get some goddamn heaters.
People were melting snow water or melting snow to get water. They were running around trying to find trees that had blown over so that they could burn them for warmth. And this dude was like, I'm going to Cancun. By the way, Beto O'Rourke, who's not even in public office at this point, organized a phone bank to check on vulnerable seniors.
People, they also their electric bills were all of a sudden through the roof because they were trying to turn their heaters up, and he didn't have any empathy for that. I mean, he's a big piece of shit.
He has no fucking empathy for people. And here's the thing, y'all, when you're voting, look for a desire for some sort of public service. There's a lot of people that are in our current political system where this is their fucking job, or they think it's like a team and they just want to win. Mm-hmm. Beto O'Rourke is a politician like any other, but I'm seeing a desire for public service here that Ted Cruz never fucking demonstrates. Never. Seriously, fuck Ted Cruz. He's the worst. So Texans have started peacefully protesting outside Ted Cruz's house. And I mean peaceful. They're just sitting there. with like signs that say he doesn't represent us. And, you know, he goes on Fox News and he refers to them as violent thugs. They're literally just sitting there. He's just sitting there. So here's a few other shitty Ted Cruz things for you. Ted Cruz once wrote a brief to the United Supreme Court urging them to reverse a decision that would allow the Ku Klux Klan to participate in Kansas's Adopt a Highway program. Who doesn't want to represent the KKK? He's such a piece of shit. He blocked a Senate resolution that would have honored Ruth Bader Ginsburg.
Oh, of course he did.
Because he objected to her partisan language in her final wishes.
Oh, fuck you.
Yeah, I know. Seriously, fuck you. When Republicans were the majority, Ted Cruz was one of the Senate Republicans that was in favor of the quote unquote nuclear option, you know, so that they could push through Trump's nominees. Changing the Senate rules is a big deal. The Democrats would love to do it, but there's like 2 Dems that won't do it. But now that they're not the majority, Ted Cruz is very much against that.
Oh, of course he is now. Yes.
Yeah. He once made fun of Joe Biden the night before Joe Biden's son's funeral.
Has no empathy.
In an interview, no empathy. In an interview discussing the attack that killed 3 people at a Planned Parenthood, Cruz said, quote, "The simple and undeniable fact is the overwhelming majority of violent criminals are Democrats."
Oh, for God's sakes.
He's such an asshole. He accused Democratic politicians of trying to transform the, quote, greatest military on earth into pansies.
Like he could last a day.
Totally.
Give me a fucking break with his loafers.
He absolutely preaches the whole big lie to everyone that there was massive voter fraud, that Trump really won the election. He later led an effort by a group of Republican senators to refuse to count like states' electoral votes that he claimed were voter fraud. So basically states that Trump lost, they were like, we're not counting those. Let's see. What else did he do? Oh, 3 weeks after that insurrection, which was, by the way, not just a bunch of dudes storming the Capitol. It was fucking violent. People got hurt. People got killed. Some of these people were looking to harm the vice president and people like Nancy Pelosi and AOC in particular, the squad, the quote-unquote squad. So 3 weeks after this insurrection, AOC tweeted that she had a project she wanted to work on. I honestly don't remember what the project was, but Ted Cruz tweeted like, "I'm in," like with the thumbs up emoji. And she's like, "I'm happy to work with Republicans on this issue where there's common ground, but you almost had me murdered 3 weeks ago, so you can sit this one out." And then she went on to say, "Happy to work with almost any other GOP that aren't trying to get me killed. In the meantime, if you want to help, you can resign." Chef's kiss. I love when Republicans step to AOC and think that they are going to get her. And they just fucking fail every time. It's genius. I love it. He also tried to match wits with Supreme Court Justice Ketanji, right? Brown Jackson during her nomination process. He grilled her about this anti-racist children's book called Anti-Racist Baby.
Sorry.
This shit had nothing. It had literally nothing to fucking do with her. She didn't write the book. She's not reading it places. It has nothing to. It's like if I would like walk up to you and ask you to explain the fucking positions in this People magazine. It has nothing to do with you.
No.
So she responded, "I have not reviewed any of those books or any of those ideas. They don't come up in my work as a judge, which I am respectfully here to address." By the way, the book, it's just a tool for parents to use to teach their kids how to be anti-racist.
Yeah.
It's not like, and all babies are racist.
And you're not racist for getting the book. You know what I mean? Like, don't you want your kids to not be racist?
Yeah.
I mean,
for someone who went to Princeton. Yeah.
The Cruz cops are coming for me. Good.
It's just ridiculous. Like, so it's not okay to teach children not to be racist.
No, I know. It's yeah.
I don't think Ted Cruz knows how to read children books because he had the same issue with green eggs and ham.
He
I'm
misses
like,
the
you
point.
should, yeah, on purpose.
Yeah.
He
doesn't give a shit.
No. When he did describe the January 6th insurrection as something done by violent terrorists, he got all this backlash from like Tucker Carlson and all the GOP nut jobs. So then he went on Tucker Carlson's show and just kissed his ass. The way I phrased things yesterday was sloppy and frankly dumb. Like he's just a fucking coward.
Ugh.
Just the biggest coward. So, you know, he went and spoke before the National Rifle Association. And he spoke about liberal elites.
Yes, exactly.
Yes.
Those assholes that go to Princeton and Harvard.
Yeah.
And have
Jets
spouses that work in
Yeah.
money markets and shit.
Yeah. You know, the kind of elites that jet off to Cancun when the weather is shitty in Texas, but do go on about elites. He also said that these liberal elites, they advocate for gun control, but they hide behind private security. Ted Cruz actually spends the most on private bodyguards among Republicans in Congress.
Yeah.
So, yes, do go on. And just 2 days ago, his own Twitter, tweeting out videos of himself having, quote, ridiculous fun playing at a charity poker game. That was the same day as the first funerals for the children that were shot. So instead of like addressing...
Was he a senator in their area? Well, he is in Texas.
Yeah, he's a senator for Texas. And so instead of, you know, being respectful, you know, addressing like what's happening.
Go to church maybe?
Yeah, anything? No. Just tweeting out stuff about his charity poker game that he apparently filmed a couple months ago, but the episode was just released or just aired or something. And he's like, I wasn't playing poker like that day. It was recorded months ago. And it's like,
release it another time.
Exactly. I was like, once again,
Jesus
where's
Christ.
your fucking empathy? Like his self-promotion can't wait. It's never about, here's why I fucking hate Ted Cruz. All the reasons I just listed. Also, it's never about doing any public good. There's no public service here. It's about serving Ted Cruz. That's all it's about. It's about like when he did the filibuster for 21 hours. He wasn't going to achieve anything. It was just about promoting Ted Cruz. Doing shit like this is about Ted Cruz. He thinks that like he's a funny guy. He thinks that like he's taking notes from Donald Trump now and he's fucking trying to be hilarious on Twitter. He's not funny and everyone hates him. Like he thinks he can just lead that way. And this is like not how you lead. He's not a leader. He's a sniveling coward. And a real piece of shit.
Yes.
So that's our creep. Ted Cruz.
So yeah.
Ted motherfucking Cruz.
He's so gross, you guys. Just check his Twitter and just the things he posts and retweets.
Yeah.
And yeah.
Just look at his fucking face, man. You just want to punch it. You just want to punch it. I love that people are going up to him in restaurants and confronting him.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I'm fine with this.
Yeah.
I'm fine with it. He shouldn't be allowed to be in public anywhere without being booed and heckled everywhere he goes. Fuck these
19
people.
were killed.
Yeah.
Little kids.
He's trash. I hate him.
Oh God. Well, good.
It felt good to talk shit about him for a long time. I like it.
Thank
Before you get to your
Right.
not a creep, would like to give some shout outs.
I forgot to do this at the top of the show. I want to thank all of you that leave us 5-star reviews on iTunes. Actually, we went up 1 star for Nurse Nancy, who likes to. Is that Nurse Nancy or what's her name? Nurse Natasha. Sorry.
Oh, she upped one of her ratings?
Yeah, she went from 1 to 2.
Cool.
Yeah.
Thanks, Nurse Nancy.
Which isn't even her Natasha.
Now we're just slightly less shitty to her. Yay.
Keep listening. I want to thank people who wrote thebomb.com from Jesse5873. More salty language, please. Santa Cruz, Jeff Banner, thank you. Love your podcast. So funny, LTTX 1999. So glad I found this podcast. Thank you. OBBHHH, I think you said that one last time. And Anita Swale or Swale, if she's from Great Britain. Creepy crawling and cackling. Thank you.
There is a lot of cackling.
Okay, so we needed 4 Canadians in order to combat this one, because he's Canadian. Fuck this guy.
Yes.
He's not American.
Seriously. Fuck him.
But I shouldn't even say that because I like Canadians and I love Canada. But
Correct.
there are, let me see, 1, 2, 3, 5. Sorry, there's 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Sorry, I lost my number here. That's because, Sonia, our not creep this week, the kids in the hall.
This is a good one.
That would be Dave Foley, Bruce McCullough, Kevin McDonald, Mark McKinney, and Scott Thompson. They had the show called The Kids in the Hall, and it ran on the CBC and on HBO in America. It was on Comedy Central nonstop in the 90s.
Yes.
I've seen these episodes hundreds and hundreds of times.
So good.
They're like I said, they're all from Canada. Lorne Michaels, also from Canada, like started promoting them in America. They're just funny as shit. They openly, one of them was openly gay, homosexual, when it was not exactly like everybody was out of the closet. And they talked about sex and sexuality. They talked about classism, but they also like just had silly humor. You know,
Yes.
I crush your head.
Yes.
I loved Brain Candy was a really dumb, fun
God.
movie that I loved.
That movie was really, really funny.
We should put that on Dorking Out.
We should.
Yeah.
That's a good idea. Yeah. I'll write it down.
Right. They got the name of their group, Sid Caesar, who I think I'm going to put on our list because he's supposedly was a real asshole. But whenever he told a joke that didn't go over, he would say, "Whoa, the kids in the hall wrote that one." You know, like Bill Maher has his like
Yes.
things he always says. But they've been around forever, and they just came out with a new show, and it's on Amazon. I barreled through it. I binged it in one night. It opens up. I'll just tell you the one they play all the hits. It's really great.
Nice.
But they all do new stuff. It's also new stuff. It's hysterical. They're in a graveyard and they're all in a grave together, and they basically dig them out of the grave, and they wake up like, "What's going on? Oh my God, you look so old, dude. What's wrong with you?" They all show their dicks in the show. Eggplant emojis aplenty. They're still funny as shit. And they can dress like women and play women characters, and they can be funny and not offensive. Yeah. They're not just putting on a dress, like they're really playing characters. They're great actors. They're really funny. They're all very nice. They're very supportive of charities. They were in the Canada Hall of Fame in 2008. They've just done amazing things. I've seen them live. They're super fun. And they're all great to follow on Twitter. They're the anti Ted Cruz. They're smart and they're compassionate. Scott Thompson gets salty, but follow Dave Foley. He's really smart. I mean, they're all just really great people. But those are my not creeps this week. Short and sweet. The Kids in the Hall.
That's a really good one, and that is on my list to watch. So I will be watching that very soon because I need to rinse my brain of Ted Cruz. It's a great show to watch if you want to rinse your brain, if you just need like a little break from things. But they hold up really well. Their stuff in the 90s was great. It was like that theme song makes me happy. Like everything about them makes me happy, and it's just totally worthwhile. My family still quotes stuff from the Kids in the Hall. There was a skit where like a guy I forget which one of them was doing it, where it's like, someone's gonna get $100, and he'd like walk around with that and then like give out the money, and then it's like, somebody's gonna get a punch in the face. And people are like, no, like,
do you remember, these are the Daves I know, these are the Daves I know.
It's so good. And the like crushing your head is so good. And Brain Candy's so good.
It's just all good and smart and funny and silly. And once again, their dicks are out, all of them.
Well, then I definitely got to watch.
So you definitely got to watch. So that's our not creep this week. Kids in the Hall. Thank you so much, all of you, for listening to us. We really appreciate it. And if you like the sound of our voices, and by golly, don't you just?
You must.
You must. We have a show called Dorking Out where we dork out about movies. We took a break last week from that as well, but we're coming back roaring. One of the reasons we were sad last week, there was obviously very insane reasons. And
so many reasons.
But one of them was Ray Liotta died in his sleep.
And that was
and it was such a fucking bummer.
Total bummer. Just a way to end a shitty week.
Yeah. It just, and all of a sudden you're like, oh my God, I love that guy. He was great in everything.
Yes.
He was always interesting. His laugh, his eyes, his demeanor. He did comedy. He did a lot of dramas, but he just could do anything, and it was great. So what are we covering next?
Goodfellas.
Woohoo!
We had gotten requests for Goodfellas even before Ray Liotta died, and then when he did pass away, like people were like, "Goodfellas, please, Goodfellas, please," or Something Wild. But we decided to go with classic Goodfellas. Not that Something Wild isn't classic.
No,
it's
and
very,
Field of
very
Dreams
good.
too. We had a little request for that, but we decided to go dig deep because this is his.
Yeah.
This is the role he's really known for. For the most.
Sure, and this is like a starring role. Like the other ones are like more supporting. So we went full Ray Liotta with this one. I'm going to watch it today. I'm looking forward to it because it's been a little while since I've seen Goodfellas.
It's a movie. I remember I watched it when it came out in the movie theater, and we'll talk about it then. But I was like, I remember I was on a date and we were like, oh boy, this is going to be a long movie. Like we were both kind of like grousing about it. And I was totally absorbed, like from the beginning to the end. It just totally holds up for me. I like Scorsese. I just like what he does. You know, and we'll talk about that anyway.
Yes, it's gonna be really good.
It's gonna be great. Please remember to follow us on all the social media things. Your suggestions for creeps and non-creeps, feel free to send them via email, whatacreeppodcast@gmail.com, or on our social media. We love it when you use the Andy Potts GIF. We got one when you're using social media, or you can pick something clever. Whatever.
Yeah, whatever you want.
Whatever you want. If you like an episode, feel free to retweet it or repost it. We won't be mad at you. It would be pretty amazing. Am I forgetting anything, Sonia? Oh,
I think that, what?
Well, tell them where they can find you.
Oh, you can find me at thesoniashow.com. I am writing there somewhat regularly, I think. And you can also find me at The Sonia Show on Twitter and Instagram and the TikTok. Where can people find you, Margot?
You can find me at Brooklyn Fit Chick on Twitter and Instagram. I'm on TikTok at Margot Donahue. My site is brooklynfitchick.com. Y'all, stay safe, be good, stay cool. It's hot out there. So take off all your clothes. No. Do whatever you want in your homes. That's fine. Just don't go outside.
That's fine.
Yeah, that's fine. Don't be a creep.
Be a creep.
Thank you for listening to us talk about creeps. You can follow us at What a Creep Podcast on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram.
But don't follow us too closely.
You can email us your creepy stories at whatacreeppodcast@gmail.com.
But please keep your dick pics to yourself.